My name is Olivia Hoxton, and I'll be presenting on Antonio Vivaldi today. Vivaldi was born on March 4, 1678, in Venice, Italy. Vivaldi's father, Giovanni Battista, was a violinist at St. Mark's Cathedral. Vivaldi was known as the Red Priest because of his hair color, and although Vivaldi was an ordained priest, he pursued a career in music instead. He was a violin teacher, composer, and conductor at the Music School of Pieta in France. Vivaldi created many works for the all-female orchestra group at Pieta. His first influential set of works for the violin and orchestra is entitled Opus 3 Maestro Armonico. He composed operas and fine church music, but Vivaldi is most famous for his concerti grossi and solo concertos. In the 1730s, Vivaldi's popularity and socioeconomic status declined. He died on July 28, 1741, in considerable poverty. For about 200 years after his death, Vivaldi and his work were forgotten. The Baroque revival of the 1950s integrated his popularity among modern music appreciators. 500 of Vivaldi's concerti survive today. Of these 500, 300 are concerti written for a solo instrument with string, orchestra, and continuo. Of these 300, 230 are written for solo violin, 40 for bassoon, 25 for cello, 15 for oboe, and 10 for flute. Vivaldi also wrote concerti for viola d'amore, recorder, mandolin, and various other instruments. The remaining of Vivaldi's concerti are either double concerti, concerti grossi featuring 3 or more soloists, concerti ripieni, string concerti without a soloist, or chamber concerti, which is written for a group of instruments without an orchestra. The passion, energy, and lyricism that Vivaldi integrated into his concerti, combined with the tonal color of the instruments used, eventually passed into the general vernacular of music. Vivaldi was the first to regularly utilize the ritornello form, in which the tutti plays a refrain, alternating between one or more soloists playing new music material. The bold juxtaposition presented by the ritornelli and tutti created new opportunities and experiences for solo players. The fast, driven movements of Vivaldi's concerti have a notable boldness of their themes, while the slower movements oftentimes illustrate the characteristics of arias, which are written for solo instruments. It was Vivaldi who perfected the form that eventually turned into the classical 3-movement concerto. Vivaldi established the fast-slow, fast plan of the concerto's movement. More than 50 vocal compositions by Vivaldi exist today. These compositions range from short hymns for solo voices to oratorios and elaborate psalm settings and several movements for double choir and orchestra. Vivaldi's vocal music has had a more difficult time breaking through to modern audiences due to the negative reception of poetry and dramaturgy of the Baroque period. The first piece we're going to listen to by Vivaldi is called La Primavera. Each of the concertos in this set by Vivaldi represent spring, summer, autumn, and winter. They are all examples of Baroque program music or instrumental music that contain a story, poem, idea, or scene. The section previously listened to is the first movement of La Primavera. Vivaldi utilizes the ritornello at the start of the piece that represents the beginning of spring. The ritornello contains two phrases which are played loudly and then are repeated softly. Following the ritornello, the movement goes back and forth between solo sections and brief tutti sections that convey the ritornello theme. The first solo section is the sound of birds chirping, which is imitated by high trills and continuous repeated notes played by a solo violinist. The second solo section is the sound of murmuring streams, which is imitated by soft notes on the violin. The third solo section is thunder and lightning, which is conveyed by rapid scales. Next, after the last solo section, the ritornello theme returns in a minor key instead of in a major key. This piece offers a litany of images conveyed through vivacious music composed by Vivaldi. Vivaldi's skill to combine tonal color and dynamics to create an exciting and powerful piece are all represented in this section of music. The next piece we're going to listen to is called La Stravaganza, or The Extravagance. La Stravaganza No. 4 is a set of concertos by the composer Antonio Vivaldi. These pieces were written between 1712 and 1713. When they were published in 1716, Vivaldi dedicated them to Venetian nobleman Victor Delphin. The third movement of La Stravaganza, which we just listened to, showcases Vivaldi's unique ability to utilize harmony and dynamics to convey a rich and full sound. This section of the third movement moves at a rapid tempo and slows down at times to highlight the soft dynamic of the orchestra. During this section, there are times when soloists have the chance to perform while the orchestra plays on behind them, but the piece reaches its highest capacity when the orchestra plays together and fluctuates between loud and soft dynamics. Overall, this section of La Stravaganza is an excellent example of the energy and passion that Vivaldi put into all of his works. The music pushes forward throughout, creating an exciting tension and memorable sound. And these are my sources. Thank you.